All right. What up, though? And welcome back to the Starving Artist Development Podcast, where we talk to Detroit's cultural artists, discussing the highs, the lows, artist development, and other things that help shape the city's originality and uniqueness. I am your host, Gabrielle Caruthers. Today, I have a very special guest. Now, mind you, all of my guests are very special, but this one right here is a very, very special guest. This young lady, I have been watching her blossom into this amazing individual. I have attended a couple of her shows. I have even watched her serve the people when she was working at Whole Foods and double back and did another show. And she didn't know this, but I admire her strength. I admire her tenacity, and I admire her resilience. She is a recording artist, a songwriter, a beat maker, an actress, a clothing designer, a videographer, and a photographer. She is just an around the way girl. I mean, what can you say?
Thank you.
Let's give it up for my homegirl, Miss Corona.
What up? Thank you. That was a beautiful introduction.
Cute, and I mean it honestly, truly. Like I said, I have watched you. I think the first time I really sat in admiration, I attended the it was like ladies first hip hop event.
Okay. Yeah.
Rhapsody was the headliner,
Mm-hmm.
and you accepted an award, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, wow, like this person, like she's amazing, right? And then I remember seeing you at work one day. And matter of fact, I even saw you when you worked at MoCAD. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, I appreciate artists that one can balance their 9 to 5 and still go out and continue to hone their craft, but also be authentic in the process and not pretend to be something that they're not, right? And honestly, I mean, Corona, like you're an amazing person.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you,
you're an
Gabrielle.
amazing person.
Let me tell you something. I'm glad that you mentioned that because, for many years, it was difficult to have a regular 9 to 5 and be Corona, Miss Corona, you know what I mean? Because people have these stipulations that they place on you, And I remember working at Whole Foods, and that wasn't the first job that I had where somebody did this thing that I'm about to say, but working at Whole Foods, and I was fresh off tour from overseas in France, and I was, over there for 2.5 months touring, and then came back. I'm like, okay, I got to get a job. So I went and got a part-time job at Whole Foods in the hot foods department, you know what I'm saying, serving it up. I made the best mac and cheese in the building, you feel me?
It
They
has some good
kept
mac and
looking
cheese.
for me for the mac and cheese.
Okay.
But I remember somebody like, man, ain't you Miss Corona? What you doing working at Whole Foods? I thought you was blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, damn. And I will be totally honest with you. For a while, it bothered me to have a job and people do that.
Mm.
I mean, years ago when I was working, I worked 3 jobs to put out my first album. I was like, yo, I was working at Walmart in Canton. I worked at the Opera House doing baby, I was out there cleaning the bathrooms at the Opera House, and then I was doing security. So I remember this couple followed me around Walmart for like 20 minutes.
Mm.
Say your part. I know that's you. I know that's you. And I'm like, nah. And I used to be like, no, it's not me. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Because I just wanted some autonomy. I wanted to be, because in that space, in those personal spaces, I am not Miss Corona. And what people fail to realize is that those type of interactions in certain moments and spaces kind of messed up my job, because why you didn't tell me? And so moving forward from that day, whenever I would put in a request for time off, my managers would be like, oh, so what are you going to go and do a show? What do you have and that type of thing. And I remember one time working, they asked me, because when I went to work at that same Walmart, they asked, it was supposed to be for seasonal, right? So they asked me, I was such a damn overachiever and great worker, they asked me to stay. So I stayed, and at this particular time moving forward, my mother had to have heart surgery.
Okay.
And I put in a time off request, had the doctor's note and everything, because I would have had to help my dad take care of her. And the store manager said no, because they all knew that I was this famous rapper, So they're like, no. She's like, I was like, my mother has to have heart surgery. And she was just like, well, how do I know that you're not gonna be trying to go and do a tour or something? And I was just like, wow. If I take this time off, you give me this time off, that's whatever I want to do with it, but I'm not lying to you about what I need to do. So she denied me, so I quit. And I remember going up there with my mom, because my parents lived out in that same area my mother went in there like, and where's this store manager that denied my baby some time off to take care of her mother? She said, don't you always say the Walmart family? And
Mm-hmm.
she told that lady about herself. She was like, I had to have open heart surgery and made my mother rest in peace. But baby, let me tell you something. That woman advocated for me, was my biggest fan, biggest supporter. And yeah, so those type of jobs, I mean, even now, right? Right before my mom transitioned, I was laid off from MoCAD. And I work, in my mind as an artist, that's kind of, that was like my ideal job, right?
Right.
I'm in the art space. I'm helping to create uh, dope events. I'm helping to curate some dope exhibitions. And I could be both people. I didn't
Right.
have to be all corporate and dressed up like when I was a HR manager for a security company years ago. Like, I know how to get snazzy too, but I don't want to do that all the time. But they laid me off in April, the same day that my mom went into the hospital, which I looked at as a blessing in disguise because, as time fast forwarded and she passed, it was like I had the opportunity to be with my mom every day while she was in that hospital, and
Yeah.
that was almost 3 months. So, struggling right now to find a job because it's like, what am I looking for?
Mm.
Because when people see my work history, it's not, I think I had one job that was like a 10-year time span, but I would work other jobs in between. And like, other than that, it's like I've been at these places for maybe 2 years tops or 3 years tops. So they looking at it like, oh, she got a shaky work history. And then I really feel like sometimes when you have these sites where people can go and look you up, regardless of what your government name is. My government name is different, but my face is still the same. So
Mm-hmm.
when people see me and recognize who I am, they're not really trying to hire me, you know.
Yeah.
So, it's
It's
a
a
bittersweet thing because I wanna be able to be a creative in all aspects, but I also need constant money because I got bills too.
mm,
And yeah, but for a while it was like, yo, that was looked down upon for you to have a job and be an artist because people like, oh, he was an ape. I'm like, man, that movie was about Eminem. That was not about you. Think I didn't get paid as much as he did? I mean, I still get paid, but I didn't get paid nearly as much as he did. For me to be able to just be like comfortable and I ain't gotta do nothing. But yeah, it's that's funny that you mentioned that right off the bat. Because Whole Foods, I quit on them too because they was when the manager found out who I was, she got the acting.
acting funky. Mm.
Yeah, they do that, and it's sad because you feel targeted. You know what I mean? I went and got a job at. I remember right at after the world kind of opened back up from the pandemic, and I went and got a job at Chrysler the same day that they changed the name to Stellantis is when I got hired and was in, training and things. And when I went to my location, once I ended up leaving, because I didn't last but a blink of an eye, because how they treated me like crap. They put me through. It was like a hazing process, and then I found out that that's exactly what they was doing. Oh, this real life. This ain't no movie. She thought this was a movie. She thought that, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, it's sick how people think, you know, and how people react to folks who are just living in their creative truth. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't walk into any space thinking I'm any better than the next person, but ain't nobody better than me either. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I guess because, you know, whatever. But I was just like, hey, I ain't need to be in that place anyway. It wasn't
Well,
for me.
I listen. One, thank you for even just, saying that, because your experience is so relatable on so many levels. Especially as like a retired dance educator. There is this clip that I always talk about. I did this show called D Party like years ago when I was 19, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I did what I think we taped like 4 shows every Monday night for a slice of pizza. And the thing that upset me the most about being on this show is the fact that you can still look up this clip of me teaching the chicken noodle soup dance, right? And I've kind of buried like this image of me being on TV because there are people that I would go to college with or went to school with or just knew, all around. And they were like, oh, damn, you like low key kind of famous. And I'm like, not really. And I'm not making
Mm-hmm.
any money. And there are no royalties coming out of this process. But there was shame that I carried because of that clip.
Mm-hmm.
Even to this day, being I guess an evolved dance educator, because I don't want to say retired, but I'm retired, and performing as much as I was performing and like doing backup dancing for different local artists and stuff, and working with like different people like the Jabberwockies and Acid Dance Crew, which I actually auditioned for, made it, and then the creator of the group, he ended up moving to Atlanta because he got a better opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
But and then also balancing being a creative and working, a regular
Yeah.
9 to 5, and
Yeah.
finding that balance as a creative, and trying to find these opportunities here in Detroit in these creative industries or creative organizations that will allow you to still kind of balance both your creativity while also working at a capacity where you can help other people, be
Mm-hmm.
creative. And it's a balance. It really
Yeah.
is, like, it's a
Yeah.
work of art, right? And I mean, one, I'm so sorry that you even had to experience something like this, because at the end of the day, all you're trying to do is just survive, right?
Yeah, you know,
Who are
that's
you?
the thing. That's the thing is like, I mean, it's almost like how people say, you know, when you go to school and how folks will clown you for being smart. Yo, smart ass, you fucking bookworm, man. You know what I'm saying? That type of stuff. Like, oh, you got a job, man. You know, because it was really a stigma placed on people, not just artists or musicians. I mean, actors as well. You know, and that's why when you see a lot of them that have moved to California to get these acting gigs, what most of them say, yeah, I was a waiter, I was a bartender, you know what I'm saying? Because
Mhm.
they had flexible schedules and ain't no telling who you gonna see sitting down in these bars. So those are the type of jobs that they were aiming for. You can't. I worked at the post office. I was a mail carrier. I mean, I've done everything. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I was a mail carrier at one point in time. You know, and I remember delivering some mail out on my route, and the dude was like, "Man, the mail lady looked like the girl from 8 Mile." Yeah, but you know, I have to take that. I'm blessed. You know what I'm saying? I never felt like, oh, nigga, on it. But when people would come and like harass me and I'm trying to work and I see my like, nah, that ain't me. Like I got a twin. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, she out of California. But you know, then I end up being like, yeah, you that's me, but you can't, you know, you can't say nothing. You gonna get me in trouble. Oh man, you a star. They don't even know who. I'm like, oh god. So then the things just change. But you know, it's weird how people treat you when you trying to maintain and survive. You know, it's like I couldn't live with my parents forever. You know what I'm saying? I gotta take care of myself. I have responsibilities. Like I could see if I had a record deal at some point in time in my career and you know some big money was coming in, but like being a independent artist my whole entire career, I had to get out there and get it how I could. I got it like my nephew Juan say, he didn't get it out the mud. He got it out the cement. I had to come. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I got it out the cement. You know, by any means necessary after I got that idea out of my mind. And I still have some friends who have never had a job. And I'd be like, man, you blessed because you able to be in your creative space and identity all the time. But at the end of the day, once you turn 50, I'm almost 50. I couldn't see myself like right now. I'm struggling. I got a probably a sketchy job history to people, but I'm like, at least I've had some good jobs, reputable jobs, even though they only might last 2 years or whatever. It's like I couldn't see myself trying to enter the workforce at 50. When you realize, you didn't become that big superstar that you thought you would have been when you was in your early teens and 20s. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, and some, God bless the ones who are able to do it. You know what I mean? But I'm blessed to be able to do it right now. I think that if I didn't own my house and certain things weren't put in place for me, then I wouldn't be able to survive in these couple months. But it's just like right now I'm thinking that maybe God need me to sit down because I endured a lot, with just being that supportive daughter for my mom. But you know what I'm saying? I ain't do it to get no brownie points from heaven. That was my OG. You know what I'm saying? My best friend. It was nothing in the world that was more important than me being there for be in the hospital. I said, as long as you ain't here, I'm gonna be here every day with you. I don't
Yeah.
care. My dad was still working, so we did shifts. I'd be in there, you know what I'm saying, go pick my uncle up, we'll go sit up there, he get off work, my dad get off work, come up there, then I'm like, all right, I'll see you in the morning. So that time when they laid me off, it was like I needed that time to be with her. And now I feel like God is like, yeah, you looking for a job, but you need this time to
To just, yep.
to heal and grieve, sit still. You know what I'm saying? Like my nervous system is still just like all over the place. You know what I'm saying?
Like I
Right
said,
before, right before I got the email from you to remind me about the show, I almost had a whole little meltdown. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just like, I gotta keep pushing because she made me promise to do that. You know what I'm saying? But it's hard because that was my best friend. We talked every day, multiple times a day. So, you know, but I want to say something to you. I want to say something to you because during the pandemic, if I'm not mistaken, I believe you lost a couple people in your family.
I lost. Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember debating on releasing the project that I created during that time frame and debating on changing my name. And I want to say you messaged me and told me not to change my name because you couldn't let the virus take me too. I'm gonna go back in the messages because I believe because did you lose an uncle?
Lost a cousin. I lost. I lost a few people.
Yeah, and I
But my,
remember
my
seeing
first
that.
cousin died for sure. He went in the hospital. It was a Sunday, and he died that following Monday. He had two heart attacks. And
Mm,
it had something to do with him, having the virus and stuff. And it was just weird how everything happened too. But yeah, I remember I was like, oh man, I'm like, Corona, Lord. I said, I hope she don't.
yeah, yeah, because
Yeah.
I was really because when the coronavirus first hit the airwaves, I I caught it, but they weren't testing for it at the time. But all of the
Mm.
symptoms, I had all the symptoms, right? And I remember my mom and dad both had it, and they had to be quarantined from each other in their place. And I remember having to take them, a care package and like looking at them from their balcony window, and I'm downstairs like, damn, that drive from Grosse Pointe to Canton was so eerie because it was no vehicles on the road except for like 5 or 6 that whole way and back. And I was like, this is like, what's happening? And I remember thinking, like, the coronavirus, like, maybe I shouldn't put this project out. Maybe I should change my name. because I didn't want it to trigger people who had been losing folks. Because at that point in time, I remember calculating about 24 people that I knew that passed, and I was like, I don't want to trigger people, and I put a post up saying that I was thinking about changing my name, and you said no, we can't let this virus steal you too. And that was the reason why I did not change my name. You saying that, because I had been seeing your threads of how you had lost multiple people back to back. And I was like, yo, if she feels like this, then okay. You know what I mean? Like, and I knew we weren't super close friends, but you were a person who our interactions meant something to me. So you just saying that was just like solidifying, like, nah, we can't let this virus take you too. And I was like, you know what? She right. You know? And no, like I noticed the first time that you hearing this, you know, you probably don't even remember the comment.
You
But
know
I
what?
remember, yeah.
Was that was the Corona effect, right?
The
Okay.
coronavirus.
It
Yeah, the
it had,
coronavirus.
yes, I think I remember. I think I
Yeah.
remember. Cause I'm like, did I really say that? Because listen, sometimes I say stuff and don't even think about what I'm saying until after the fact, like, wait, should I have said that? But honestly, when I say something, it's because I genuinely mean it.
hmm
And 9 times out of 10, if I said it, it's because I meant it. And it was
Yeah.
like, nah, we not about the don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Cause
So
is
so
Corona the beer changing their name? No. So
right.
you put in all this
So no,
work,
I mean I know that I'm telling you in this moment it was like it dawned on me, it just clicked in my brain that that interaction, that quick interaction via social media at such a devastating time in history, just those words that you sent to me was just like no, you know. Then my mom was under there too, like, you ain't changing your, you know what I'm saying? But it was then people started commenting, but you commented on that, and I knew firsthand that just by seeing your post that you had lost some important people to you due to
yeah.
the to that virus. And I mean, you know, not to say that other people who commented that their, you know, their opinion didn't mean anything, but I didn't know anything about them losing somebody due to it. So it's like, you know, some folks be feeling like, well, no, I have a connection to you because of this. This is how I know you. So I'm, you know what I mean? Like, even when I had my old name, when I was a teenager, when people see me and run into me from that era in my life, they still call me that rap name. And I be like,
Mhm.
I ain't been that since I was a teenager. So you know, people want to hold on to the way that they know you, and you
Mhm.
like, no, you was like, nah, no, we ain't letting the virus take you to. I was like, wow. Oh, thank you. Thank you for seeing me even during that time.
Oh wow. That
Yeah.
means so much to me. And I'm saying that because God has definitely shown me in so many different ways that even when you think your work isn't recognized or being recognized, and it's not so much, I don't care about the accolades, I don't care about the awards, I care about just making an impact and making a difference, right? Especially what, performing for 30 years, and I'm 36 and I've literally been performing since I was 5, but
Mhm.
also pouring back into, disadvantaged youth, or just pouring back into kids that may have never seen a Hamilton, or they've never seen a West Side Story or Phantom of the Opera, right? But being able to like bring those experiences to them through my eyes, because I grew up in a theater, but the only reason why I was able to grow up in a Broadway theater is because my mother, she used that opportunity to pay for my dance classes. So she was not only working 2 jobs, but she was also putting herself through school. She decided
Mhm.
to go back to school at 40 and get her bachelor's. So, just seeing that drive and stuff, I was like, okay. And then going and being, engulfed in this theater experience as a kid, and the lights and the dancing and just meeting everybody. And I'm like, oh my God, this is something that I want to do. But then not realizing that this is something that I want to be able to teach to other kids that
Mm-hmm.
don't have the same opportunities that I may or may not have had. And even just running into former students, but talking to like you all like during this podcast has really done something for me, both physically, spiritually, and I know that starting a podcast, I started it because I had lost somebody, right? And I needed some sort of inspiration. And then I also decided to retire from teaching dance. And for
Mm-hmm.
me, like you said, it was like, well, what do I do next? Right? What is my next move? And after a while, you do kind of question, like, well, okay, I guess maybe I'm supposed to be doing this, or maybe I'm supposed to be doing something else, but also getting a traditional job where, I worked in marketing, I worked at a theater, I worked in fast food, I worked as a bartender, I worked at Disney World, I worked everywhere, right? And it's gotten to a point where I'm like, I'm taking everything that I know and I want to wrap it up into one thing, but I want to be able to provide a space still, not only for people that are like myself, but for people that are aspiring to do some of the stuff, that
Yeah.
the cultural artists that I'm talking to are either already doing or already have done. And, but even just talking to you all about your process and knowing that even in the midst of the process, you can be at the top and then you can be at the bottom and you can literally go back up to the top and be right back at the bottom, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that that experience, is relatable. And even just like your story, everything that we've talked about up until this point, I mean, like I said, thank you. Thank you for telling me that, because like I said, sometimes I tell people stuff and they'll remind me like, hey, you said something that changed my life. And I'm just like, what did I say?
Yeah. I'm like,
What
what?
did I
Yeah.
say? And I
You
hope
know,
it wasn't anything, crazy.
no, nothing crazy. But it's funny too because although this is the first time that you're hearing it, I mention it all the time because I was in retirement when I even started working on that project, and so people was just like, "Oh, there's a virus out here." You got, making light of it because it wasn't that
It
serious
was,
at the time, and we
yeah,
didn't know
yeah,
how severe it was. They didn't got a virus named after you. All this is a sign you got to come out of retirement and this and that. And I was like, I've been thinking about writing a song about it because I just thought it was just, and as within a 7-day time span, I wrote the whole project and was just like, okay, boom, this is what a way to come back.
yeah,
And then after it was done and mixed and mastered, and then I started seeing the count of people that transition, I was like, maybe I shouldn't because I felt everything that I felt about releasing it and keeping the name. It came to be because I felt like people who weren't familiar with me were gonna think that I was trolling. They would think that I was trying to capitalize off of this tragedy, but not at all, So, and the folks who hopped in there when people was like, "How dare you try to capitalize off this? You gonna make it?" You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
yeah,
people like, man, she been Korona for 20. Look at the credits on 8 Mile. Look at the credits on this and that and da da da. And they like go back and look like, man, I didn't even. I was like, yeah, I'm not. And did you listen to the project? Because I'm not even really
right,
talking about the virus itself. But no, that really was the thing. When you said that to me, I was like, yo, she's right. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, she right because I had been seeing the post that, and I felt for you because when I saw you post about your cousin, I hadn't lost anybody at that time. So then seeing friends, relatives, and it was just like a multitude of people. I was like, yo, like this is crazy. What is happening? It's like, yo, I don't want nobody to be triggered by, but now they don't even call it that, so I'm fine.
yeah, but it's okay.
I mean, I want my identity back. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
look, we got more serious things to worry about. The
You
orange
know?
man in
Uh,
office right now, but
uh,
that's here nor there. Oh
uh.
Lord. Now let's jump into just your origin story. So I mean, I've listed your entire resume of things, and I feel like I know I'm missing something. But when
What you mean?
did you realize that you
Yeah,
wanted to
my
rap?
phone. I'm sorry, people. I gotta put my phone on the charger,
It's
but I'm
okay.
listening to you.
Yeah, when did you realize that you wanted to rap?
Um, I'll be totally honest with you. I believe it was probably around 11, but prior to that, I always wanted to sing because my biological father was a singer and he was trying to train me to sing. So I would be in these little talent shows as a young girl singing. And things shifted when my voice started changing. And around that same time, when I was 10, my mother got me a record player and some vinyl for my birthday. And so I would just be around there, like, you know, mimicking them. And then by the time I went back to school for, I think it was like fourth grade, the social studies teacher that I had, she gave us a journal we were supposed to write about our summer and, what we did. And I started turning those poems and writing into raps, just like playing the instrumentals and just saying the words and trying to emulate the people that I was hearing on the record. Um, but I didn't realize that I was actually good at it. Well, actually, I think I probably knew I was good at it from the beginning, but I didn't think that it was a possibility for me to actually do it until I got into high school.
Okay.
And when I got into high school, I met this guy who lived around the corner from me named Kamal, who was known in the neighborhood as the best rapper. And so I was like, one day he was standing on the corner and my cousin was like, "Oh, that's Kamal." And I was like, "I heard you know how to rap. You can't rap better than me." And then here I go, little freshman in high school, trying to rap against this man. I wasn't even it was battle rapping wasn't even a thing then. It was just trading verses, and he ended up a couple weeks later like going around to my house and asking my mom if he could take me to the studio with him. He was like, "This is a grown man. Like, I don't, my daughter's 16, and I need, where you live? What's your address? Let me see, what's your real name? What's your phone number? And what time you having her back home? Her curfew was such and such and such and such." But she let me go to the studio. We walked. At this time, we lived on Whittier
Okay.
and Kelly, and we walked to go and get this girl he wanted to start this group with me, him, his cousin Umar, and this girl named Nikki. And we walked to go get Nikki, and Nikki was past 7 Mile, and then we had to walk back to Outer Drive in like Chandler Park, and yeah, and we was walking, and we was but he got me back home. That curfew, we went to this man's house. He had a studio set up in his house, and every time I ride past that house, I think about that memory. Like
Mm.
that's the first house I recorded my song at. My first song, and yeah, so 16. So from 10 to maybe 15, I was just running around the blocks trying to rap against everybody. Then 16 landed in the studio. 16 was the uh, first time I snuck into a bar and performed at Cino Lounge. Then the rest was history. So, yeah,
But what is
yeah.
your writing process? What does that look like? How do you?
I don't really have like a set writing process. When I was younger, it was far more different than what it is now. When you younger, you just feel like you had so much time. You sit, I would come home from school, do my homework or not, and just be like, I'm gonna write. I used to just sit and just try to write all day. Um, Whether it was me rewriting songs from other artists or writing, I used to sit and I would write 20 definitions for words out of the dictionary each day.
Mm.
And then I would just like try to write a song over these, a verse over these songs that I would listen to. But nowadays, it's like either I can just start freestyling something or, but I really like to write to the beat because I can find my pocket, I can find my concept and idea. When I listen to the beat, I like the beat to guide me to where I need to go instead of me just like writing these loose raps like I used to and then trying to place it over a beat, because at the time I didn't really have any, much access to producers when I was younger.
Mm.
That didn't really come about until later. Kamal was my first producer. And then when I like outgrew that situation, well, not outgrew that situation. I parted ways from them because it was two other guys that was in this camp that produced also, and one of them physically attacked me and like I almost lost my hearing because he jumped me and he like bust my eardrum, broke my wrist. And so I stopped
Mm.
going to the studio with them. But I still
Yeah.
stayed friends with Kamal because he wasn't there, and I know it wouldn't have happened if he hadn't been there. And so he stopped messing with them after that. But so it took me some time to kind of gain trust with working with producers because it's such a male driven field, and I just didn't really have much trust in guys like that at that after that, for a while. And then I ended up, years down the line, I would work with producers here and there and just like get beats, but yeah, now I'm doing my own beats, so I ain't gotta wait on nobody to deal with none of that stuff. But that came late. I wanted to make beats when I was younger and would be told like, well, just stay in your lane, focus on rapping, and I perfected that skill. But I always think now, where would I be production wise had I started doing it when I was 16, 17 years old?
Okay.
Even though when I started, I was like way ahead of the game. I thought I was having like I was like it was like imposter syndrome was hitting me. I was like, man, did I really make this? Is this really sweet? Or am I just excited because I completed the task that I
Mm.
set out, the goal that I set out? Well, I was like, this is actually sweet. And then it just kept elevating like quick. People like, man, I think you been making beats this whole time. You just been pump faking or something. Like, I don't have to lie, you know.
Well, listen, we gonna talk off camera, but
Okay.
yeah, something is off camera. But okay, so lyricist, beat making, and then Golden Girls.
Mm-hmm.
So what inspired that? Like, how did that come about?
So Golden Girl production. I mean, again, I had been wanting to produce for years, and 2021 after we got let back out in the world, I had to sit back down for 6.5 more months because I had knee surgery.
Okay,
So I
yeah.
was recovering and I was just like waiting on beats to create the follow-up project from the virus. I didn't know what it was going to be. I just knew I was in the zone. I wanted to start. I was excited about, coming out of retirement. I'm feeling good about this, because I had writer's block for years. I had
Mm.
writer's block for so long. And that's what it made me really dive more into or lean more into my photography because I had always been taking pictures, but that job at Whole Foods threw me into a depression because of conversation or people, the comments that I was getting. Like, dang, I kind
Mm.
of felt, honestly, I felt depressed because I felt like, am I a failure? Because
Mm.
people see me working at Whole Foods and like everybody, what you doing working there? You supposed to be, you was just overseas. Dang, it's that bad. And I was like, so it really affected me
Okay.
mentally. On top of the fact that the management sucked, my direct management that got switched over sucked. And, but Golden Girls production, when I sat down and had to heal and recalibrate and learn how to walk again, I just had so much time and I was like sick of waiting on people. I'm like, okay, I've been asking for beats. I'm just about to treat myself I'm finna buy me a drum machine as an early birthday gift, and I'm gonna teach myself how to make beats, and I ain't gonna need nobody to give me nothing, you know? And so that's what I did. But the name came about, one, because I am a huge fan of the Golden Girls. And then I was and then I was just thinking, me being up in age and just now jumping into this, I felt like I was in my golden era, you know. And
Okay.
then I wanted it to be a collective of women producers. So it initially started off with me trying to recruit three other young ladies to start this production team called Golden Girls. But it didn't land like that. So I was just like, I'm just gonna be Golden Girl Productions. Forget it. But the pandemic, back to that, I don't want to keep talking about it, but that showed me a lot of things about myself. Being in quarantine and basically isolated by myself. I mean, I never had a problem with being in my own company, but it really showed me, because at that moment you didn't have a choice. You couldn't really be around people like that. So I'm just like, hey, I'm not afraid of my own reflection. I'm not afraid of my own voice. It gave me more clarity. It made me move closer to God. It had me understanding a lot of things about myself and just, being more dependent on myself and like secure in my abilities and not waiting on people. It gave me a sense of urgency because so many people were leaving this earth, and I was like, when I leave here, what is it going to look like? What's my legacy going to be? And so I'm like, I can't continue to let people dictate the future of my career or my life anymore. I'm gonna take it in, take the wheel and take control and let God guide me. And just, I can't wait on nobody. Y'all want to join later? Okay, boom. But right now, Golden Girl Production is moving forward. Ain't no love lost with everybody else. They doing their own thing, you know. And been creating projects and producing projects and put out my first beat tape, and so having a sense of self-worth and just knowing like all of those voices in the past that were telling me stay in your lane and do this and do that, and I would have did it like this. Those people were just probably insecure about my ability,
Mm-hmm.
and that's their own thing.
Yep.
I don't. And that's not to be cocky. That's their own issue. You know what I'm saying? It's like God has provided me with so many talents that when I put my mind to something, is I excel, and I just be in awe because I know it ain't me. During the pandemic, I woke up, I said, I was about to get some coloring books, and then I heard God tell me to get paint and some canvases, and I'm like, I don't know how to paint.
Okay.
and then look, you know what I'm saying? But I paint now. I've been painting since 2020 and teaching myself how to draw and paint. And I was like, and that's another thing, I'm like, I'm tired of waiting on people. So if I want to take time and figure out how to draw out my own logo or draw out my own album cover, whatever, then I will be able to do that,
Yes.
because he provided me with the tools to do it, and I just got to believe that I know how. Now, I can't wait till God provide the funds to come with it, amen. But, but it's a lot of things that are just no monetary value can put. You can't put a monetary value on the things that God provides you. You know what I'm
Amen.
saying? It's a limitless amount of talent that I am discovering within myself. Hey, even being able to move through all of this grief and loss, that's a talent. I didn't even know I was this strong, baby. Let me tell you something. I always thought if anything ever happened to my mama, people would have to pick me up off the floor. And I ain't had to be picked up off the floor. Because God been keeping me, and so has she. And I was like, I don't know how I'm still standing. I don't know how my mind ain't gone. Because it's a whole new world I'm navigating in, back in seclusion in a different type of way. So when I look at certain stuff, it's like, man, when we don't know what God be preparing us for. You know what I'm saying? Because that time being isolated and being by myself was preparing me for this moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just like, girl, I don't know how I'm doing it, Gabrielle. I just be like, every day is a task to get up out the bed. And I ain't got no job that I got to get up and go to.
Okay.
So every day is a task for me to get up out the bed, and like, I'm not hearing my mama's voice
Mhm.
or seeing her face. And then it's Christmas, and we was just a tight knit family. Every weekend was a holiday at her house cooking.
Yeah.
So, I'm just working. I'm pushing through it with the best, mindset that I could. Next year, album dropping that I created in her honor. So be on the lookout for that. But, I hope that I'm not rambling and swaying and
No,
yeah.
no,
Yeah.
because like I said, at the end of the day, the reason why these conversations are so important to have, because what a lot of people don't realize is that when you're an entertainer, you always have to be on, right? But
Mhm.
what about
Mhm.
those times when you're not on and you have your own dealings that you have to go through and navigate? And I mean, heck, we can look at like Robin Williams. We didn't know he was struggling with his own endeavors, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, it took a turn for him. And he was a person who made everybody laugh, right? One of the
Mhm.
funniest people. And they say sometimes it's the person that's doing the most entertaining that's usually the one that's struggling the hardest. But sometimes we use entertainment as a source of therapy in order to make other people happy, because then in
Yeah.
turn it makes us happy, right? It's a very weird trade-off. But I will definitely say this. I am it's admirable how you are navigating grief. And I definitely want to say that you having this time right now, this is only time that is getting you ready for something bigger and better. Like, you're working on projects, you're getting ready to do showcases. You just dropped a Beats tape, which I purchased, and you already know is doing what it's doing, right?
Thank you.
But sometimes God will use our greatest pain in order to produce our greatest masterpieces. And I have learned that over the years, and we don't understand why these things happen. It don't make sense in the process, especially when you are in the process or in the thick of it. Because all
Right.
you want to do is you just want to sit down and be like, I can't do it. But then something nudges at you, and it's like, get up,
Yeah.
keep going. It's hard right now, and there isn't going to be a day where you're going to look up and the next day is going to, get easier. But what it does is, once you put one foot in front of the other and you keep taking those small steps, because, as long as God is ordering your steps, he is always by your side. And when I tell you, I know he's on your side. I know he's walking with you. And then I most certainly know that your mother is on your side, because I have watched her love on you and support you at your showcases. And that kind of love, man, you have
Thank
gained you gained an ancestor. You've gained an ancestor. And when I tell you, because of this ancestor, you already know she's putting in even more work up there. And I know that for certain.
thank you.
The opportunities that sometimes we think we need at the time, we may not need them in this moment, right? Like, in this moment, like for you, like, this is really just your season of preparation. That's all it is. Because we have our ups, we have our downs, we get right back up, and then we get right back down again. All right. I mean, I hate to use Donnie McClurkin for a saint is just a sinner that fell down and got back up. But like, really, in reality, it's like there are just going to be times where we have to literally hit rock bottom in
Yeah.
order for us to produce something so brilliant. And when I tell you, you are not the only person that has found a way to use their art to navigate loss, grief, depression, anxiety, health issues. And the thing is that you even dedicate this project, to your ancestor, because I firmly believe to be absent from the body is to be present from the Lord. And baby, when I tell you your mom is ascending and she has ascended, and when I say it that way, because I don't like to say, oh, somebody passed away, or oh, my condolences. No, I like to say they finally ascended. They ascended, and they are at the place where we are striving to be at, right? Because I mean, let's be honest, this is hell on earth right now, like everything that's going on. But also in reality too, while we're here, we have a mission to fulfill, right? And you
Yeah.
still have a task at hand, right? And you, like I said, I feel like you might be a golden girl, but I really feel like this is only the beginning for you. And I know 8 Mile really did a number for you, especially when you try to balance, like you said, working a regular job while also being an internationally known artist, and then having people look at your light and see your light as a threat to the things that they did or did not accomplish, because that's all it is. It's just people seeing you pursuing your dreams and your goals and going after your aspirations, but them not having enough bravery to do it is what you're doing. And even with courage, even when you are like, suffering or dealing with imposter syndrome, because we know imposter syndrome is a mug and it will sneak up on you and it will literally have you thinking like, no, I can't do this. But it's like, no, but you can. You really can do this. And like I said, when I list off your resume, like I want to make sure that I list every accomplishment that you've ever accomplished, because you deserve your flowers. You deserve your accolades. It don't matter if you're not working right now. So what? Who cares? You know how many people ain't working right now? I ain't working right now, okay? Tommy ain't got a job.
Listen,
Tommy
Tommy
ain't got a
got
job. But that still doesn't take away from things that you've, accomplished over the years and you continue
yeah.
to accomplish. Like the fact that the painting that's sitting behind you, I was gonna ask you, I was like, man, that's a dope ass painting. Where did you get that from?
Yeah.
I
That I
painted it.
did.
How about that?
Did. Yeah.
But
You
you
know,
are
my house is
also
full of a lot of my artwork around here, but yeah.
But listen, you are also the
Look,
embodiment of what
my
we
girl
call a
right.
strong black woman.
You see my girl right there?
She look good.
Okay, okay. There go my mama, y'all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, just beautiful, beautiful.
My
But yes,
baby.
Corona, when I tell you, you are the embodiment of a strong black woman, and you are literally the epitome of I'll figure it out or I'll do it myself. And I told my husband, I said, when you hear a black woman say, I'm going to do it myself, just know she's going to get it done in spite of
Oh,
everything.
okay.
She's going to figure it
Yeah.
out. Right.
I'm a
So I admire that, and I admire that
thank
because when you really want to see something through and you have to wait on people to give you an answer, to, you know, give you the okay, like sometimes those people will keep you from fulfilling a mission that God had already planted in your heart, right? And when
you.
you feel strongly about something and like, no, this has to happen now, then yeah, at some point you got to do a lot of stuff on your own. And you
Yeah.
talk about doing some stuff on their own, video production, podcast production, reaching out to people to, do the interviews, going out to the people in the community and talking to them and doing like on-site interviews, following up with people, making sure that they have their recaps and stuff. What else? Reaching out to possible partners, possible sponsors and stuff, creating, my own logo. I literally just sat here and did all of this stuff today, and I did it with my daughter watching me. But I did it to show her like, no matter what you want, no matter if you want to accomplish anything, if you want to do anything in life, you can do anything that you put your mind to. And you talk about
Yeah.
people that told me I couldn't do it. This degree is a reminder of how many people told me I was too fat
Okay.
to be a dancer. You're too fat. I was rejected from Wayne State's dance department the first time in '07 because they said I was too fat. Went and
Wow.
worked at Disney, came back, re-auditioned 30 pounds heavier with the same people adjudicating me. And one of them bras said, oh, I see you can't stay away from us. I said, no, I made a promise to myself and I'm going to fulfill that mission. And 3 years later, I fulfilled my mission. So this
Okay.
degree, I said, y'all going to see this 100K piece of paper that I've accumulated, but because it's a reminder that if you want something done, you can do it. Anything
You
is
can do it.
possible. No matter how many people tell you that you cannot do it, keep doing it. Keep going.
Mm-hmm.
In spite of
Yeah.
being afraid, you know, losing people, losing friends, losing family members, losing your job, losing sleep, working 8 and 9 hours. No, I'm sorry, taking classes for 8 and 9 hours a day, working two part-time jobs, and then also trying to balance a relationship and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
that's when I didn't have a child yet, right?
See?
But just going through that process, like that's why I'm like, I really admire your resilience because you showed me that it can be done, right? And
Thank you.
we as like young women, we need to see our big sisters like showing us, hey, it's hard, it's a struggle, but it can be done, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I feel like you're doing that every day. And this is just it's only gonna go up from here.
Thank you. We need to, yeah, we're gonna have to connect because I mean I wanna pick your brain about some things too. You got some, yeah. I need to pick your brain about some things, and I know I don't think I ain't hear you slip that part in about doing on-site interviews, so you might have to pull up to the sleepover and interview some of these artists. They need to get some exposure.
I am. I am. I
Yeah.
you already know it's on my calendar.
Okay.
It's on my
Yeah.
calendar.
Okay.
Yes, I
Yeah.
definitely make sure I have a babysitter and everything. But
Well, yeah.
I feel like we're gonna need a part two.
Well, just let me know.
And we gonna figure it out. But
Because, I
Corona,
could talk. I could
and I
talk.
can talk too. Okay, I can talk too. And I
I
know
could talk.
sometimes, listen, these interviews they get so good, and there's just so much information, and but the conversations they're genuine, and that's what I love about the Starving Artist Development Podcast, or I'll call it the Sad Podcast. Even though it's not so much that we're sad, it's just
Hmm.
we're starving artists, and we're still developing our craft, but we're also teaching others how to develop their stuff too. And just some of the things that we faced, just being cultural artists,
Yeah.
being, artists and things
Yeah.
that you may or may
And,
not face.
and,
But
it's crazy because even though I've been in this industry all of these years, it's still hard. It's still hard to, I still get treated like, you know, I ain't one of the dopest. And I ain't saying dopest female MCs, one of the dopest MCs, producers now, photographers, clothing lines, code, everything, but I saw a post from Tabitha Brown the other day that it was and I'm paraphrasing, but she said how the grass that she has in her backyard was artificial, and she went outside to. You saw that post,
I
and
did,
she said,
yeah.
and she saw the weed, and her first instinct was to snatch it out, but God told her to look up the definition. And I felt like, and I want the people who, I'm not gonna tell them what it said. I want the people, whoever watching it, go look at that post. Go look at that post, because what she said to me, it hit home, and it rang so loud in my ears, because for the past few years I really have been wondering if I've reached my ceiling here,
Mm.
if I've done all that I can do here, and I just need to go and plant my roots someplace else that won't just see me as a wild flower growing out the concrete. That they just want to eradicate and just like overlook, step on, whatever, and not even seeing the beauty of all the things that you know I had to go through and endure to get to where I am now. I think that people in the community love me, but I also feel like, because of my accessibility, I think that people kind of take me for granted as the creative powerhouse that I am. So they don't really look at me in the same light as folks when I go into different states, and they're like, "Oh man, Mr. You know what I mean?" Because I walk into spaces, and I'll be tripping on when I meet folks that I look up to in this industry. that are fully aware of who I am. And I'm like, what? They know me? And then my brother DJ Lowe's be like, man, Korona, you a star. And I'm like, but I don't. Everybody at home, everybody here feel like we all stars. So that's how I look at it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just me. But nah, I've traveled the world and people knew my music before I even touched the ground there. So I'm like, I have done a tremendous job for a artist who is 100% independent.
No, for real.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm thankful and I'm blessed. I won't say I'm lucky. I'm blessed for sure because it was many doors and many windows that were closed on me or never open at all. You know what I'm saying? And I still made my way through. I was like, oh, okay, y'all ain't gonna open it. I'm gonna create my own door then. Y'all don't want me in this room at this table. I'll create my own table. So thank you for seeing me and thank you for having me. And we could definitely do a part two because I still got a lot to say. And I know you ain't get to half of them questions that you wanted to ask.
Told you it never happens. It may be one or
Yeah.
two questions, and then after that, it's just like, you know what? The conversation is so great that I forgot we still had questions.
Yeah.
But
You
this is
know,
the beauty. This is the beauty. So what if you could leave any wisdom, if you can impart any wisdom on any aspiring artist, what would you tell?
I'm going to say what I always say. Be true to yourself because your authenticity means more than you know. Nobody can do you better than you. So if you feel like you this quirky artist, this weirdo person who, and everybody, why are you so weird? That thing is what makes you you. So be yourself. It's not gonna be no other person who gonna do you better than you. And it's 1,000 people out there that may like what you presenting and have to offer opposed to these two people that's over here judging you for how quirky you are. If I would have listened to the naysayers years ago, or even the people who tried to tell me from, record execs trying to tell me to change my image in order to get a record deal, I don't feel like I would still be here today. And is oddly enough, even though I never had the opportunities that some of my counterparts have, you know, I'm more relevant than a lot of those artists who had those major deals or even distribution deals or whatever, you know. So be you. It can't nobody do you better than
Okay.
and it ain't nothing wrong with reinventing yourself because that's still authentic to who you truly are too.
I
And
love
that's
it.
it.
Well, where can we find you
That's
on
it.
social media? So that way, if the people want to low key stalk you, where can they find you on social media?
Baby, ain't nobody checking for me. No, MIZKORONA. Just look me up. You can do the Googles. It's all the stuff gonna pop up. The Instagrams, the Facebooks. I don't have Twitter no more since that dude changed it
Yeah.
to. Yeah, I don't do that. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty accessible. I'm pretty easy to find. It's only one Miss Corona. It was a couple of them that tried to change, to try to steal my name. It was even a couple guys who tried to be Corona, but I lasted out. I lasted longer than all
Yeah, still I rise like Maya Angelou. Okay.
of them. Well, I'm gonna let you get off of here because I know you got things to do. You all fly. You ready to get out there and do your thing for the holiday season? You be safe. Thanks
Thank
to
you.
whoever watches this, and thank you for having me. I'll be talking to you again.
Yes, and you can follow us on the Starving Artist Development on Instagram. You can actually subscribe to our channel on YouTube. What
Right?
else? You can shoot us an email at info@starvingartistdevelopment.com. And you
Yeah.
can also visit our website at www.starvingartistdevelopment.com. We would like to thank you all for joining us for today's episode. Thank you so much, Corona. It's always a
Thank you.
pleasure kicking it with you. And this is only the beginning. And when I tell you we definitely need a part two, we need a part two.
Yes. And before we go, I do want to say one thing. If
Yes.
anybody's watching this before January the 15th, come out to the Shadow Gallery in Easter Market for my monthly artist showcase that I am creating. It's called The Sleepover. It showcases artists who I feel deserve more of a platform, more eyes on them, more support, more, just more, 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 more. It's so many dope artists in the city. And also, it's time to create these events in spaces with people like us. So, shout out to my boy Chris that owns Shadow Gallery for allowing us to do it there.
Okay.
And a lot of these spaces, they not us. They don't understand the culture. They just want to get a buck, and they don't care about our well being. So yeah, come out to the sleepover January the 15th at Shadow Gallery. And it'll be a monthly event. So
Well, I
yeah.
got you. Well, we definitely gonna move that on up. All right. So yes, everybody, please support your local artists, and don't forget to purchase your Beats tape. Where can we purchase that at?
My beat tape is actually available on misscorona.bandcamp.com. It's called Sanctuary. And I mean, the title speaks for itself. Just finding that inner sanctuary within in the midst of all the grief. I was just like, yo, I need to create a soundtrack. It is so it's not sad or anything like that, but you know, you just go listen to it. Go listen to it if you like it. You can purchase the digital version or you can order a cassette.
All
Take
right.
it back to the cassette.
Oh, yep, I saw it. Listen, let's start supporting our local artists. Let's start buying albums again. Yes, show us the artwork. Yes,
Yeah. Oh, and
yes.
I done turned the light off by mistake, but I get, it's a real
It's
cassette.
a real
By the way,
cassette.
I took the photo. I took these photos, the cover art, the photos of the cover. You see that? I took that.
So
I
you
took
you
the.
took
This
the
is from. Yeah, this is from a inside of a church in what was I at Goree Island, the first slave castle. That's the interior of that. But this church is here in Detroit on Michigan. Yeah.
so if you want something done with yourself, because you are a
Do what you
strong
can.
black woman who is resilient, and she said, "I'm gonna make it happen." You ain't got to do it for me. I
Make
got it.
it.
Thank you,
Okay.
Corona.
Yeah.
Oh my
Thank
gosh.
you. My light went out. It was like, I'm done with you.
All right, everybody. We will see you all later.